Jayanandalala, Mathioli Charana. We're going to continue with Thirugyanasambandar that we started last session. And we were going through his younger days. And then we did come to know about how he attained the knowledge and all that, right? Now, continuing with that, I just wanted to fill you in on the, I wanted to give you a picture of how the state of affairs was during that time, during his time. It's like the scene at that period. It was a lot of unrest. Of course, that period was the 7th century where the Pallavas and the Pandyas were ruling. Most of the southern region were under them. And they were in high power at that time. So, and Thirunavukkarasar was also, he was also during that same period of time. And he was born in the Pallava state, and Thirugyanasambandar was born in the Pandya state. So I'm just giving you a background because this is very, it's very significant to what we're going to talk about later. Because Thirunavukkarasar he played a significant role in Thirugyanasambandar life, how they both met and etc. He's also a Nayanmar. We have spoken about him. Everybody knows him as Appar. His other name, Thirunavukkarasar's other name is Appar. So how these two met, and they both are belonging to a different state. That is, one is from a Pallava state, one is from a Pandya state. Now, mostly both these states were controlled by Jains. At that time, Jainism just, revived. And what happened was the Shaivism was going down because the kings started practicing Jainism. The rulers in that period started practicing Jainism. And what happens when the ruler start practicing another belief? He makes sure that his Praja also believes the same. See how important the ruler is, right? Very important. Not that Jainism is wrong or anything. Don't get me wrong. The point being that already these regions were practicing Shaivism before. And suddenly this revival happened of Jainism. So then the king started practicing Jainism and made sure all his Praja also practiced Jainism. So that way the Shiva Bhaktas felt a little choked because they could not openly practice what they loved, pray to their Lord, and that kind of felt like a choke for them. Because the king expected that everybody embraced Jainism. That was the period when Thirugyanasambandar parents performed this penance. So this was very planned. You understand? I'm giving you a picture so that you understand the background, how Thirugyanasambandar came to be. So the parents actually performed the penance, which we spoke about last session, where they prayed to Lord Shiva that they wanted to put an end to this. this choked feeling. They wanted to freely practice what they wanted. They wanted to freely go and do puja to Lord Shiva. And they wanted freedom from this web that they're caught in. So they did penance and they asked for a child. They prayed to Lord Shiva, asking him for a child that will revive Shaivism. It's very important to understand the background, how Thirugyanasambandar came to be. That is when they were blessed with this child. Lord Shiva sent this child to revive Shaivism. That is why he didn't waste any time. 3-year-old started the journey. Right? A lot of people also understand and believe that Thirugyanasambandar was the incarnation of Lord Murugan. In many texts and scriptures, it's written that he was the incarnation of Lord Murugan. Why? Because the divine parents themselves coming down when the baby cries, and Goddess Uma feeding him milk. We cannot imagine any child getting that attention, right? Divine parents don't come running down. So here the child was immediately answered. His cries were answered by the divine being, divine parents. So the goddess Uma came down and gave the milk. Immediately, Jnana, the knowledge, was instilled, and he started his journey by going to all these temples we spoke about, the first part, right? Immediately started spreading Shaivism, spreading the word of Lord Shiva, spreading his grace, spreading his leela, spreading his beauty through his padigams, singing everywhere he went as a child. And Lord Shiva providing the gold plates so that his hand does not get, he doesn't hurt his hand clapping. And we went through the temple. We spoke about the temple in detail. Theerthapuriswarar. Correct? So all this, not any ordinary child would get, right? This much attention. It's just like every journey, every temple, Lord Shiva is waiting to receive him. Oh, in Korandavara, my child is coming. Let me receive him. So the background I wanted to give you so that you know why this child was born. Now it gives you a little picture, right? So that period was mostly Pallavas and Pandyas. Cholas were just coming up then, they were scattered. They were just coming up. Cholas are later on, This was mostly Pallavas and Pandyas' time. Understand, these stories are not mythology. These have happened. If the talam plates were given, it happened. There are witnesses. And just like that, the Lord is not called Thalapuriswarar. He provided the talam plates and got that name. So everything happened, every incident. Now, as we go further, you're going to be astonished because it gets more and more hair-raising incidences. So it's not ordinary, extraordinary. Now, the song that he sang when he was 3 years old, the first song, I did give you a little glimpse of it. It's not a 3-year-old song. No 3-year-old can sing that song, right? So that's when the father understood my prayers answered. Because he prayed for it, right? So he understood. Oh, இது சாதாரண குழந்தை இல்லை. This is not an ordinary child. And he carried him in his shoulder and went to all over the place, to all the temples, to all the Shiva temples. Wherever the kid wants, he carried him and went. Now, I wanted to give you a small background of the Kovil, this temple where the child sang his first padigam. It's in Sri Sattainadhar temple. And this Lord is called Sattainadhar, appar, and Ambal is called Periya Nayaki. Sattainadhar, the Lord who makes the rules, Sattam. And we'll see, we'll break it down now. So why is he called appar? When the Pralayam happened, the Lord carried 64 arts with him in a raft, Toni, and reached this shrine here. And he stayed here with Umadevi. That is why he's called appar. He's a Swayambhu Lingam. And there's another story where Lord Brahma became arrogant because of, he's creating, right? So somehow developed arrogance, became proud. See, even the lords are not left. Even the lords get caught in these emotions, right? So when he became proud, the Lord had to teach him a lesson. Lord Shiva had to teach him a lesson, and he made him forget the Pranava mantra Om. Now we saw what happened when he forgot the Pranava mantra Om. He got caught with Lord Murugan. In the Murugan session, you will see that. You can go and watch all the 6 abodes of Lord Shiva that we are talking about this incident, where he forgets the Pranava mantra Om. Now, realizing his mistake, Lord Brahma worshipped Lord Shiva here and got mukti from that. He installed a lingam here. And that is why that lingam, that Lord is called Brahmapurishwarar, because Lord Brahma installed it. Now, Shiva also, this is one of the reasons why he's called Sattainadhar, the rules, he sets the rules. He grounds them. He reminds them of their duties. So that is why he's called Sattainadhar. Same thing happened with Vishnu also. Lord Vishnu also went through that period. Sometimes we think when the Lord gets angry, they should get angry. We keep saying that, right? Why aren't you opening your eyes? Why aren't you reacting? Do something. When we feel injustice, when injustice is happening, we always call out to the Lord, please get angry, do something. We don't realize the repercussions of it. When the Lord gets angry, he cannot come back to normal so easily. Pralayam happens. You cannot just say, God, get angry. So when the Lord Vishnu, he showed his dominance over the 3 worlds as Trivikrama, he got a little pride. So hence Lord Shiva had to step in and bring his pride down. That is another reason why he's called Sattainadhar. So in this temple, especially men are not allowed to wear shirts inside the temple. This temple, that rule exists. Now it's a 3-tier hill. This temple is like a 3-tier hill. And the upper level is Sattainadhar. That is where the lingam Sattainadhar is. He's the lawmaker. And the middle level is the Thonni appar I was talking about. And this Lord is prayed to in case there are problems with court cases, land disputes, etc. They come to Thonni appar and seek his blessings. The below level is Brahmapurishwarar, that Lord Brahma installed. So 3 lingams in this temple. It's amazing. So now there are separate shrines for Lord Vinayagar, Murugan, Somaskandar, and all the 63 Nayanars are here. And most of the Shiva temples have these 63 Nayanars, right? And there is a separate shrine for Sambandar, Thirugyanasambandar. It's a beautiful idol of him. Small child holding a cup. Why? Because this is where it happened. This is the temple where Uma Devi gave him the milk. So he's holding a cup and standing, reminding us of the beginning, reminding us of how this child was so beautifully graced by the goddess herself and where his journey began as Thirugyanasambandar. So that is this beautiful temple. This is also in Sirkazhi, where he was born, right? That is his land. And that's in Tamil Nadu. Now coming back to his journey, how he went to other various temples and how he graced that place with his knowledge. He didn't waste any time. The minute he drank the milk, he started his journey, correct? Now his next place was Tirunanipalli. This is his mother's native place. So once his father, he's holding him in his shoulder. Thirugyanasambandar is sitting on his father's shoulder. And when they enter this village, he looks at the land and his father is very proudly, he says, this is your mother's place. This is where your mother is from. So he's more interested. So he's looking here and there. It's very dry. No green anywhere. The trees are all dried up. The land is dried up. No water. The tanks are all mostly dried up. He feels very sad. It's like my mother's place. The mother who gave birth to him. He sees everything so dried up. He immediately thinks of Lord Shiva and sings a padigam. And the whole scene over there, the landscape, immediately slowly changes. Immediately changes to green everywhere, luscious green everywhere. All the trees are getting filled with the leaves and fruits and whatever. The abundance is slowly getting back. The tanks, the wells are all, overflowing with water. This is not a made-up story, people. I'm not making this up. It is in the Puranas. It is written. These things have happened. Now, what happens when these things happen? Obviously, the people there notice it. And they come to know this child is who, the instrument who's doing all this. And so the child gets a lot of followers. There's a big group following him everywhere now. Whatever started in the temple, Sattainadhar temple, a small group became bigger and bigger. Now the groups are like getting bigger and longer. There's a big group following this child now. And once the child is singing, there are certain sector of people who are noting it down. Oh, like, Understand? That padigam gave rise to the miracle. Because he sang that padigam, this dry land became luscious. Because he sang that padigam, the Lord came and gave him the talam, gold plates. So those padigams are precious. So everyone behind this child was like noting every line that he's singing. This is the picture then. No recorder and all that then, those days, right? So this was the way they felt. This is so precious, we need to note it down. So there was a sector of people who did that. And they joined the bhajans, they joined the songs. They wanted to save it for our future. Now we have to thank those people, right? Because we have it today. Not all of them, but some of them we have, right? So we have to thank them because they took that initiative to save it for us. Now all this journey is by foot. There's no vehicle then. We are all very blessed. Huh? We have a car and we have an air conditioner, everything. We can go to all these places. Still, we don't find time to go. That's a different thing. But we have all this. We have all these luxuries God has provided us. Those days, it was by foot. They had to go to all these places by. Just walked. Can you imagine? Now, this child was mostly carried by his father throughout the journey because obviously it's very hot and the small dainty feet of the child could get burnt in the hot sand. Those days the roads are also not laid, so the sand is very hot. I mean, even the tar roads are hot, but just saying the sand is hot and the stones are hot, heat. So the father just carried the boy. The father is also a human being. He's normal, poor thing. His shoulder is going to break if he walks with the child the whole time. So what he does is he takes a break, he puts him down, and the child, when he feels tired, he puts him back on his shoulder. And this was then they kept doing this off and on. And both of them had this concern for each other. That is, the father thought, poor Korandai, my Korandai is walking, my child is walking in the heat. Let me lift him. And the poor child also thinks, poor father's shoulders must be hurting. So these two are thinking and concerned for each other. Who is listening to this? Huh? The Lord is listening. Whether people are so many behind you, but they're not listening. There's a big group behind them. None of them heard their thoughts. The Lord did. That is the difference between a human being and the Lord. Even your thoughts cannot go unnoticed. And what does the Lord do for that? So this party, this group comes to Irayur. There's a place called Irayur. They just want to give their body and mind some rest. So they're sitting there under the tree and the child is looking around. He's thirsty. He's hungry. He's not even able to see. At that age, you don't know what is happening. 3-year-old, what will he know? He starts crying, right? But this child is not even crying. He's so matured. He doesn't cry. He's thirsty and hungry. Immediately the Lord comes there and sets up a pond for him. And the Ambal comes there and provides food for everybody. Not only for the child, for everyone there, she provides food. So that's why the Lord there is called Theerthapuriswarar, because he gave the Tirtham, the water, provided for the thirst. Now, from there, they are going to another place from there. So they rest over there that night. They sleep that night and they're going to go there to the next place. Thiruvattadurai is the place they're going to go. Now the Lord has, I told you, heard their concerns. What does he do? He goes to the dream. He goes into the dream of the priests at Thiruvattadurai. And he tells them, listen, I have kept a pearl palanquin for this little boy. He's Korandai. He's coming to visit me in Thiruvattadurai. I've kept a pearl palanquin outside. Make sure you go there and give it to him. See, he doesn't tell them to give it to him when he comes here. He says you all go there and give it to him. So these priests have to go all the way to Irayur and give it to him. That was the orders of the Lord. At the same time, the Lord comes in Thirugyanasambandar dream and tells him, Korande, my child, don't walk anymore. Wait there. I'm sending a palanquin for you. Sit on that and come. How sweet. How sweet. So, Thirugyanasambandar is after all a 3-year-old. He doesn't understand all this and he has to wait and all that. So he gets up and he just thinks it's a dream. He gets up. He tells his father casually. His father is overwhelmed. Shivane vandara? Ipdi chonnara? Did he say that? Did Lord Shiva himself come and say that? And he says, yes. So then they wait, and by the time, they have something to eat the next morning, the pearl palanquin with the pearl umbrella comes for this child. I have no words, right? I have read this story, I don't know how many times, but I still have tears at this point. I still have tears. It's the tear of bhakti, right? It's so pure. The love of the Lord is so pure. So now he has the palanquin to go around and visit the Lord everywhere, wherever he wants. So people are, like I said, many. They're all like, na tu kare, na tu kare. So there are people to carry the palanquin. I want to carry it. I want to carry it. So everyone takes turns to carry this child because they clearly know he's not an ordinary child. He's the Lord's son. Who doesn't want to carry the Lord's son? Who will give it up, the chance? So they all took turns and carried him and went to Thiruvattadurai, where the Lord is waiting for this Korandai. The Lord is waiting for his son, the son. It's Muruga Avataram only. Now, a little bit about this Lord this beautiful Lord in Thiruvattadurai. He is called Theerthapuriswarar because he provided the Tirtham for the kid, for everybody there. He is also called Anandishwarar and he is also called Arudurainadar, and Ambal here is called Anandhanayaki and also Tripura Sundari. So they have all these names. Now this temple is in the banks. It's located in the banks of the river Vellayar. It's called Vellayar. Vellayar means white river. And what does Aruturai mean? Aram means snake. So it is said that the great Adiseshan came here and prayed to the Lord here. And that is why he's called Araturainadar. Now Lord Mahavishnu, Shani Bhagavan, Brahma, and Valmiki, Janakar is Sita's father, all have come and worshipped the Lord here. Adi Shankara also has come to this shrine. Now Lord Shiva once helped the Sapta Rishis to perform their rituals here. And for that, they wanted a river. So that is why he made sure that the river flowed here for them. So he said Niva. And that is why this river is also called Niva, meaning come here. So that's another story about this river. And he provided the river for the rishis to perform their rituals. Sage Valmiki also worshipped the Lord here. Now during a flood, this Nandi's head is turned to one side towards the river to stop the flooding. And so in this temple, particularly, the Nandi is not looking at the Lord. The Nandi is looking to the side. It's a very unique, you don't find Nandi looking anywhere else but the Lord, right? So this is the story behind it. So his head is turned to one side. So that is the story of this temple, a little small brief thing about this temple where this Lord provided the pearl palanquin and pearl umbrella and tirtham and food. The Ambal provided the food for this child, Thirugyanasambandar. This is the temple, the Lord Theerthapuriswarar. Amazing. Now everybody gets to know about this, right? I mean, suddenly a pearl palanquin comes from nowhere, and the priests have come from, the temple, and they came and gave it and told the whole story, how the Lord came in the dream, and how they were instructed to take this palanquin and give it to this child. This news spreads like fire. Those days, no social media or anything, no WhatsApp, no Facebook, no Twitter. Word of mouth. The word of mouth was enough because everybody were traveling. They were travelers. They were going on their pilgrimage everywhere. That is how they spent their time. Whenever they got a break, they went to temples. And it was a long journey because they had to walk. And what did they do? They see other travelers talk. They exchange news. Oh, Priya, in that place that happened. Oh, we have Thirunavukkarasar. We have appar here. Oh, you have Thirugyanasambandar. So these kind of things get mixed and the news spreads. So all these holy men, the great men, their news spreads like fire through these devotees. So Thirugyanasambandar became very popular. Even before he went to certain place, those people were awaiting his arrival because the news spread. This child, the Lord provided the pearl palanquin for this child. He is coming here now. He's on his way here. So people would run before this child even reached there to inform those people to be ready for him. So that was how popular this child got, his divinity. But this child was not looking for it. This child or the father was not, even bothered by the attention the people were giving. That is so important, you know. Never be hungry for attention from human beings. It is not worth it. We are born in this illusionary world because we are caught up in this web of Maya, right? Maya is the one that makes us get attracted to attention. If someone is telling us, giving us a compliment, oh, you look so beautiful, you're so pretty. Suddenly we get it on our head that we are the prettiest. Tomorrow they will see somebody else who is more good looking than us, which is very possible. We are not the prettiest. There is always someone who is more prettier than us, who is more learned than us. So for any reason, we cannot get pride. It's like the Lord giving us one hit on our head. But the human beings, we were talking about human beings, they will lift us up and immediately drop us. The Lord never does that. So what we have to seek is attention from the Lord, not attention from human beings. So today, this big group following Thirugyanasambandar, he didn't ask them to follow him. He didn't care. Come, let's all sing together and enjoy. That was his goal. Let's sing together. Let's praise the Lord together. Not because they praised him. Yeah, they praised him, but he never took it. Nor did his father take it. His father very well knew why he got that son, right? So he was very clear. So this spread everywhere. The news of this child spread everywhere in every land. So they were awaiting. Oh, inge varuvana, the குழந்தை inge varuma. Can that child come visit us? Will he be coming to our place? We will keep him happily. So this was what happened. Now there's a musician. During this time, there was a musician and he played the yar. It's called the yar. It's an instrument. And he heard of this child singing everywhere, padigams, praising the Lord. And his name is Neelakanta Yarpanar. That's his name. So he heard of this child singing everywhere, and his desire was he wanted to go play the yar for this child when he's singing. So he somehow caught up with the child in the temple. He learned about his, traveling schedules, where he would be. And he caught up with him in some temple, and then he started playing the yar. He did namaskaram to the child. See, the point here is there was no such thing as age. A lot of us think, oh, avan chinnavana irukane. Na eppadi avanukku namaskaram panna mudiyum? He's younger than me. How can I do prostrate to him? How can I do namaskaram to him? That thought did not come. Yeah, there are a section of people who think like that, but whose loss is it? Right? But the ones who came forward, who understood this is not an ordinary child. So the age did not matter. Everyone came and fell at the little boy's feet. He didn't care whether you fell or not. He's singing the glories of the Lord. But the seeker has to seek, right? When we see a divine child, if we go fall at his feet, we are benefited, not the child. So Yarpanar came and fell at Thirugyanasambandar feet and requested if he could play the yar for him. And Thirugyanasambandar was very happy. He was about 4 or 5 at that time. He's like, yeah, you also come with me everywhere, he said. And so the journey started. Neelakanta Yarpanar also continued with Thirugyanasambandar everywhere. He went everywhere with him. Everybody did namaskaram to the child. Everywhere they went in a group, they'll come namaskaram to the child. This was the scene. There's a story behind this Poonal also. This thread ceremony. Of course, I did mention it, but the most amazing thing was usually the priest, chants and the kid would follow, right? Here, the kid already knew because Gyana-paal, right? The priest did not have to chant. He chanted along with the priest. So the priest, usually later, we give dakshina and then the kid actually prostrates and has to take blessings from the brahmanas. Whereas in this case, all the brahmanas fell and took blessings from Thirugyanasambandar. All the brahmanas fell at his feet. That is the difference here. It's a major difference. Everybody knew he was extraordinary. He was not normal, not a normal child. So this was the scene everywhere. Now the entrance of Thirunavukkarasar. I told you these two will meet, right? Now he visits Chidambaram. Thirunavukkarasar visits Chidambaram. He got to know. Over there, everybody's talking. Like I said, this is how the word spreads, right? All the devotees that just now this child had visited and he left Chidambaram. So they were all talking. They were mesmerized by the child's glories. All this kept talking about the glories of this child. Thirunavukkarasar was so happy. See, another beautiful thing about these Nayanars, right, is they are not jealous of another one. Did you see that? No, I thought I was closer to the Lord. Where did this one come from? No jealousy. We're all in the same boat towards the same destination. And he immediately knew that that person is also an instrument like me. I need to see him. And he also understood at that small age, because if you heard about Thirunavukkarasar's story, it's very different. He got to that point where he realized and where he acquired all that. It took him a long time. Okay, so it was not in the beginning. It To acquire that enlightenment, it took a period of time. It was not when he was so young. So this child was just 3 years old when he started this journey, spreading word of the Lord. So that was very, incredible. And that thought for Thirunavukkarasar was, he felt that was incredible. And he wanted to meet this child. And he immediately knew this is Lord Murugan's avatar. Because if Uma Devi comes and gives milk, this is nobody ordinary. So he wanted to meet the child. Again, he never saw it as child. He saw it as Lord Murugan. He was like, I want to go and fall at his feet. So that was the feeling he had. And so he was asking everybody, where is the child now? Which direction did he go? Did they tell you which temple they're going to? Is what he asked everybody there. And then obviously they told Thirunavukkarasar where this child was going, and he immediately was on his way to the same place. And he somehow caught up with him, and that in the midway, because he could see from a distance the pearl palanquin, because they had told him he'll be traveling in the pearl palanquin. So he saw it in the distance and he ran and he caught up. And even Thirugyanasambandar, same way, right? Heard about Thirunavukkarasar's miracles and what all he did. He also went through a lot with the Jains. And I did speak about all that, how much he went through a little torture with the king. The king tortured him, but nothing happened to Thirunavukkarasar. And that is what always followed him everywhere. Everybody came to know about these miracles that the Lord, his leelas, how he performed through Thirunavukkarasar. And that, of course, everybody heard about, and even Thirugyanasambandar heard about it, and he was very, very appalled, and he wanted to meet him too. So the same urge was there for both of them. Thirunavukkarasar wanted to meet Thirugyanasambandar, Thirugyanasambandar wanting to meet Thirunavukkarasar. So when Thirunavukkarasar came there, and everybody was like, oh, Thirunavukkarasar is here, and they fell at his feet. The poet asked everybody to put the palanquin down so that he can get down. So when the palanquin was set down, he came out. He was wanting to see him. He was just small little fellow. He was looking up at this nayanar, Thirunavukkarasar. Thirunavukkarasar was in tears when he saw this child. He immediately wanted to fall at his feet. He's thinking to fall. Immediately before that, Thirugyanasambandar fell at Thirunavukkarasar's feet. Because he's in that level, right? Small. Immediately fell before Thirunavukkarasar. Thirugyanasambandar fell at Thirunavukkarasar's feet. You see the beauty there? And Thirunavukkarasar was in tears. Said, please don't do that sin and fall in my feet, he said. And he was bending down, and Thirugyanasambandar caught him, said, appar, ayya, venda. So till then, he has never stopped anyone to do namaskaram to him. And I did mention this. Everywhere he went, everyone did namaskaram to him. But when Thirunavukkarasar bent to do namaskar, he stopped. Yeah, venda. He said, no, don't do that. You are appar for me, he said. Neenga appar. Appar he said because appa is not very respectful, so he added the R there. Adukkum oru respect. So appar is the name Thirugyanasambandar gave Thirunavukkarasar. Even today, Thirunavukkarasar is called by that name. Everyone knows him by that name, addresses him by that name because of this child giving him that name. And Appar was so happy. He lifted him up and he put him in his shoulder. And they continued the journey towards the Lord. This is this beautiful bond. We have to learn from this. We all have lessons to learn from this. It is so innocent. They both were not threatened by each other. You see that? I'm a bigger devotee than you. I know better. I know I've got milk from Uma Devi. No, you didn't receive the milk. No, see, these thoughts never arised in these two people. Because their goal is so different and distinct from everybody else. Their goal is to reach the Lord. And the journey to spread his name. So on the way, both of them exchanged their stories. So when two bhaktas meet, what do? They talk about the Lord. So Appar was wanting to know whatever the child did. So he's like, "Nee enna panna chollu? Unakku enna aachu chollu? What happened to you? What happened in that temple? What happened in this temple?" And of course, Thirugyanasambandar also was very, eager to listen to his stories with the Jains. It was very scary. Oh, they put you in a oven. They switched it on, the fire, and the Lord saved you. And he would close his eyes and have tears rolling down. So these are the beautiful stories they exchanged. And then Appar said, "I have to leave now." And he continued with his journey. So, and he also took turns in carrying the palanquin for the child on that journey. So he was also one of them to carry the palanquin, had interest in it. So Thirunavukkarassar is way older than Thirugyanasambandar. Remember that, way older. So, but both of them did not give too much importance to the age. The age never came in their minds. Of course, Thirugyanasambandar saw him and gave him that name Appar. But more than anything else, it was two devotees just mesmerized by each other. Now the journey continues and they go to various places. We will continue Thirugyanasambandhar's journey in our next session. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful journey of Thirugyanasambandar so far. Thank you so much. Mathioli Charanam Jai Nandalala.